what is going to be Putin's reactions? Well, in warfare, what you do, and those that have followed me closely, you have the most options. You plan for the most options up to the last possible minute, right? So I guarantee that Putin has a whole range of options. One of the things from somebody who I stay in close touch with that gave me, and this is the asymmetric warfare. There is a dam outside of Kiev that if that dam was taken out, and it would take a significant strike, but if that dam was taken out, it would wash out half of the city of Kiev. That would be asymmetric warfare. That would be and Russia could easily say that was an appropriate response to something that just happened. Now, what will that do? That could kill a lot of people. That could retaliate against the citizenry of Ukraine, vice just military capabilities. So this is a really seriously dangerous time. The what happened is something that if this in fact had been going on for 18 months, which, I wonder about that. I know we've heard that. If it's been going on for that long and the United States intelligence community didn't know, then we need to raise the USIC to the ground. If they did know and they did not inform President Donald J. Trump, that's cause for raising it to the ground. And I use that a bit metaphorically, but I am serious about what our U.S. intelligence community is actually doing. Now, if this has been something in the works and it was going on during the Biden administration and they didn't, the deep state operatives that are inside of the CIA and inside of other parts of the intelligence community, if they failed to warn the White House, if they failed to warn Tulsi Gabbard, if they failed to warn Marco Rubio, there's a problem there. If they did warn them and we allowed this, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. I mean, one of the things that I said last night to a group of friends was that I pray that there is a National Security Council meeting going on right now in the Situation Room, and they're basically going to sort of full-scale 24-hour operations from the Situation Room with access to every single capability that the United States of America has at its beck and call. Because what is happening is all this is going on over in Russia and Ukraine. We have China breathing down our necks. I can tell you right now, there are indications that I have gotten about China taking over the Panama Canal. As I said in a post that I put out, there was reports of some type of cyber cone of silence, if you will, put over the Panama Canal, where people are having difficult times getting access to the internet, getting access to communications. And the Chinese desperately want the Panama Canal because 70% of our commercial trade of U.S. commercial trade goes through the Panama Canal. The other thing is the Asia-Pacific theater, Taiwan, South Korea. South Korea, in the next 24 hours, we're gonna find out whether South Korea is going to be aligned with the CCP or whether they're going to continue to be aligned with the United States of America. That's an election that's going on today. So these events that are occurring over in Russia, what the United States has to be able to do is have a full view of the entire, the entire geography of the world, and politically, informationally, physically, what is happening. Because if we don't have that, and I'm telling you that it's either got to be Marco Rubio at the head of the table or the president of the United States when he can be there, because he's going to have other issues that he's going to have to deal with. So, the peace talks going on in Turkey, for example, the negotiations going on in Turkey. You can see from who they sent to. There's a good picture of Pete Hegseth, who's a great guy. Pete Hegseth is doing all he can, and he just recently gave a speech out in a very strong, very very dynamic speech out in the Pacific, and it was necessary to basically tell China, this is a warning to you, China, that we are trying to do things here in the United States of America, and we are trying to bring peace. This president wants to bring peace to Europe, wants to bring peace to the Middle East, wants to figure out ways to work with each other in a unilateral, unified world, and not continue down this path towards war. The one thing that the White House has to keep in mind is that these people that they're talking to, they're going to lie right to their faces. I mean, And part of it is because there is zero trust factor when it comes to anybody below the president of the United States. Honestly, I mean, the honesty between leaders, world leaders, and I will keep Joe Biden out of that because he did not have any ability to be able to think or critically think. But a guy like Donald Trump, he knows when he talks directly to Putin or he talks directly to Xi or any of these world leaders, what he's getting from them. What happens is when you take it down a couple of notches and you start to deal with intelligence community capabilities or security capabilities, you start to deal with some of the other geopolitical types, you start to deal with some of these think tanks. What is happening is the United States government right now is being pushed into a war that we don't want and we don't need and we cannot afford. One other soundbite to get out here. Lindsey Graham and Denang Dick Blumenthal. I call him Denang Dick because he got into politics on a lie based on, talking about, he lied about his service in Vietnam. So Denang Dick Blumenthal out of Connecticut and Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina, both U.S. senators, just visited Zelensky. And of course, 24 hours later, they're attacking and destroying a component of the nuclear triad of Russia. So you have to ask yourself, was there a message that they were supposed to convey to Zelensky? I hope not. I hope that's not the case. If there was a message, that puts us in a much, much more dangerous position. If Graham and Blumenthal walked away from there and had no idea that this was going to occur, then that shows you how foolish those two are and how much of a fool Zelensky thinks of the United States of America, not just these two U.S. senators. So that's another aspect that people must take into account with this visit, this very, seemingly timely visit by Graham and Blumenthal to Zelensky. So this is really important, what you're highlighting. The fact that Trump was not aware, I mean, that's really bad. So what I can tell from this is that there's definitely indications of an intelligence community, a foreign to Ukraine, so outside of Ukraine, an intelligence capability, an agency level capability that was likely aware of and probably enabling this. So let's just surmise, let's hypothetically say it was MI6, right? Or possibly even the Germans, maybe the French. Well, let's just say it was MI6, or maybe we say it's the Mossad out of Israel. But I don't want to go there yet. But let's just say it's MI6. So if it's MI6, then the CIA likely was aware. If it's Mossad, the CIA likely was aware. If it's the German intelligence, the French intelligence, you name, they were likely aware. There are clear indications that there was an intelligence agency foreign component that enabled this, because what you're talking about is really incredible levels of precision targeting, okay? Precision targeting for a nuclear triad, because, these aircraft, as I said in my X post last night or yesterday, these aircraft by treaty have to be observable, okay? They have to be observable. They do move them around for strategic purposes. There's very high level sensitive communications between nations to be able to continue to observe where these aircraft are parked. You also have to move all the logistics of those aircraft. So there's a lot that goes into this stuff. The ballistic submarines or the nuclear submarine capability, obviously they're out there and they're capable, and I bet you that the dispersion of Russia's nuclear submarine fleet is ongoing right now, and it's probably, talk about deep dives, right? And then the other component are the land-based capabilities of their nuclear, component of the triad. So the Ukrainian intelligence capability is just not that good. First of all, Zelensky wants to be president forever there, right? If they could run another election, they would do it. They want to become part of NATO. They want to become part of the European Union. They want to see themselves as a bastion, right? As part of the sort of the framework of Europe. And there's no love lost right now between these nations. And I will tell you that I still believe that there is hope for a peace deal, but that's going to come at a massive, massive cost in terms of sort of a reconstruction effort if we go there. And I can tell you that when you got the prime minister from the United Kingdom, the president of France, and some of these other leaders within the European community, particularly the European Union, all they want is war. This Putin, I mean, okay. So let's say Putin steps down. Let's say that there's an internal coup inside of Russia. Do you think that we're going to get somebody that's better? Do you think that we're going to get somebody who we understand, or somebody who might not be actually more of a strong man? I mean, we have to be very, very careful. And when you take a shot, which they did, but the Ukrainians did take a shot at Putin. When you take a shot at the king, you better kill him,